Extreme high temperatures are affecting regions around the world. Here in Europe, a high pressure system is trapping hot air from the Sahara above southern countries. It's the region's third heat wave this year and follows the hottest ever month recorded in June. And weather forecasters say an even hotter weather pattern is due in the coming days.
Rome braces for what could be its hottest summer ever. The Eternal City's tourist sites are almost empty.
The things do change with the heat. Like if you come in the morning, you're going to see too many people or before 10 o'clock, while if you do come during the day, you're not going to find anybody.
It's really, really terrible. Like, we're used to the hot in Rome, but not this hot. I feel like this year it's been hotter than usual.
In the Tiber River, ancient history serves as a warning. These Roman ruins used to be submerged before water levels dropped to alarming lows.
It's dangerous for all the boats that travel, on the touristic boats that travel on the river, and also for the fauna. And it's difficult because there is no oxygen on the water. If the water falls down and there is too much sun.
As temperatures soar, Italy's Minister for the Environment says cutting carbon emissions is a top priority.
Italy suffers much more from the impact of climate change. Rising temperatures mean rising sea levels and rising ground temperatures. We have to do whatever we can, to the best of our abilities, to reach our emissions targets.
Temperatures in Rome are expected to exceed 40 degrees in the coming days, potentially topping records.
Let's bring in journalist Alina Trabottoni, who joins us from Rome. Alina, what are you hearing? Why is Europe facing such extreme heat?
Well, there's been two very, very intense meteorological phenomena that have enveloped Europe. And I think it's very easy to liken it to being in a very soggy, humid, hot desert. And it's blistering heat, absolutely scorching heat. And the first of these phenomena, which has moved out, it was the Cerberus one, named after the three-headed monster that, according to Greek mythology, guards the gates of hell. So a very fiery, hot character of the afterlife. And that brought temperatures up to close to 40 degrees and slightly over 40 degrees. But worse still now, we're experiencing the so-called chevron, or as they say in Italian, Caronte phenomenon, another character of the Greek mythology, the afterlife, the fellow who ferries lost souls across the river to the afterlife. So it's very sort of imaginative, very fiery in terms of illustration. And it reflects the temperature here. It's absolutely scorching across Europe. It's been basically a dome that has trapped this very, very hot air, and it just won't let it go. High air pressure, anticyclone, and very, very slow to move, coming up from North Africa.
Alina, we're seeing the kinds of temperatures that often trigger for wildfires. What are Italian authorities doing to prepare?
Well, it's difficult to actually prepare. What you can do is you can educate and, tell people don't put cigarettes out on the street, don't throw cigarettes out of car windows, be careful with litter and so forth. And then you can also preventatively bolster up ahead of any wildfires coming up. So there are a lot of firefighters being earmarked for emergencies, and equipment and air force and water supplies and so forth. Luckily, so far, despite last year an area the size of Montenegro in Europe going up in flames, so far this year, at least in Italy, it hasn't been a huge problem. And that's likely because until a month ago, we had torrential rains, very, very, very heavy rainfall. So hopefully the earth is still a bit humid, but this will change in coming weeks, given that this heat wave is going to last at least until Thursday. And given that it will reach record temperatures, especially in the islands of Sicily and Sardinia, which are expected to reach over 48 degrees.
Only have half a minute, but I do want to ask you to give us a sense of how residents and the crush, no doubt, of tourists in Italy are coping.
Well, with difficulty, with great difficulty, because even though they're being told to stay indoors during the hot hours of the day, the difficulty, of course, is that there's very little air conditioning in Europe in general. And, of course, last year we saw 61,000 people lose their lives due to the heat waves, of which 18,000 in Italy. We very much hope this isn't replicated this year.
Indeed. That's journalist Lina Trabottoni in Rome. Many thanks.